From New York's award-winning news station, this is the new Channel 11 Action News.
Good evening. David Berkowitz, 24 years old, a postal worker, walked out of his Yonkers apartment last night, turned the ignition key in his car, and found himself surrounded by police. Well, he said, "You got me." Police say those words ended the biggest manhunt in New York City history with the capture of Son of Sam.
All right, steady.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world, welcome back. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. Me and Neo's channel got nuked sometime last month. I woke up one day, went to open the YouTube app, none of my videos were coming up, none of the posts. I thought, oh, there's a glitch in my phone, it's glitching out. Closed it, reopened it, same. Closed it, reopened it, same. Tried on the laptop, still the same. And I'm like, oh God, what's happened? Went and looked at my emails, and there's an email from YouTube. We're sorry to let you know, but your channel's been struck off. Some ridiculous reason like spamming or something. You know, no copyright issues, nothing to do with that. Spamming, whatever that means. So I'm like, what am I going to do now? Like, everything gone in an instant. Neo, you there? I called you, didn't I? I was like, where's the channel gone, dude? And
How's
it's
it
like,
going, Lena? Yeah.
Oh, man, so bad.
And you had that channel for a while, no?
I had that channel for 18 years, dude.
Huh.
18 years. I had like 7,000 songs saved, countless videos. I opened that channel when YouTube was born, basically. I think YouTube was 6 months old when I opened that account.
Right.
To lose it like that devastated me. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm just like, Rena, it's just YouTube. I can start again. And that's what we're doing now, dude. We're trying to rebuild the channel.
All right, when you
Please
speak the
like
truth
and
too
subscribe.
much, when you speak the truth too much, you know it gets drowned sometimes. So when you expose people and you have truth exposing, a lot of people don't like that. So I would say that the channel definitely was getting struck by people who don't like to be exposed for their lies. And I'm sorry that happened to your channel. I know you had it for a while, but that's what it is. What it is. That's what happens when you speak truth.
I wouldn't argue with you there, Neo. It's very suspicious timing too, isn't it?
Yeah. So subscribe if you can. And I'm sure you'll like a lot of the stuff we have. And we're going to start putting back up the videos we had, getting that together. And
yes. Luckily, I've got all the old videos saved on my laptop, thank goodness. And a nice young man, luckily, had saved some videos for me, which is very nice of him. So,
and it's crazy what you see on YouTube. And it's crazy how some people act and get away with, and that your channel got struck down. I was surprised at that.
Yeah, I tried to be so careful, Neo. I tried my hardest.
All
But
right.
like to
Well,
get some nondescript reason like spamming, I'm like, how have I been spamming? I didn't do countless videos of the same thing. I just don't get it. And the appeal process with YouTube is like pulling teeth. It's not an easy process. You can't talk to anybody. Everything has to be done through X.
right.
There's no line you can call, no one to speak to. Everything's like done electronically. There's no helpline, nothing.
Yep.
So trying to slowly rebuild the channel, start doing a
Good
little and
start.
often. Yeah. So it's coming up to a year tomorrow since your book was released, Neo. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yep. It's about
One
a year
year.
tomorrow. Yes, correct. Right.
How has the last year been?
Good. I've done a lot of stuff. I got about 1,000 books out there. It's very good for a self-publish, first-time author. The numbers definitely I'm happy with. Um, I didn't really want to market it with any propaganda. I kind of want to let the book sell itself, at least in the beginning, just to so I can get a real reaction to my work. So I haven't even really started marketing it yet. Um, that's just something I felt like I wanted to do. I wanted to get a raw reaction back from my book, just on me passing the word and what people thought about it.
Oh, I mean, we're going to go back to basics today because we did do a video on this previously, but obviously that's gone now. We're just going to go back like car seats, Neo. Let everybody know about your journey. Let us know from start to finish. How did you get involved in the Son of Sam case? Because you've never been into true crime before, have you? Ever.
No, no, I'm a DJ, so I mostly do music and sports, and it's basically really where my interests for my whole life. Um, when COVID struck, we were stuck in the house. All sports were finished. I think the Lakers had just won the basketball title just then before it rode into me seeing this documentary. I was stuck in the house. I couldn't watch anything, no sports or nothing. So I started binging on Netflix, and I came across The Sons of Sam by Joshua Zeman. And while I was watching, I started to notice a lot of faces that I knew, and the locations were very familiar to me, and the story that he was telling me I wasn't familiar with. I grew up just thinking that David Berkowitz was some crazy guy that just killed because a dog told him to. I didn't know of all the satanic cult stuff that they were saying was going on in my city, and about all these accomplices and stuff that Berkowitz supposedly had. So as soon as I was finished watching it, I started making phone calls, trying to connect to everything I saw. And yeah, I just started then going around my city of Yonkers and hundreds of people. I talked to so many people on just so many other people, trying to validate names, trying to get things right. And it just turned into an ocean of incidences and evidence that just came along by the journey's end.
What was it that caught your eye about it the most, Neo? Like, was it David himself, or was it just the location, or what was it that
Uh,
caught your
well,
eye?
you put my church, Sacred Heart, up in the video. Maury was an altar boy there, so was I. And he put my church up in the video, and then I started looking at other internet stuff, and they were talking about, around the grounds of my church. And I love Sacred Heart of Yonkers. It's very important to me. And I took a lot of defense to that when they started talking about residents around there having something to do with David Berkowitz. So, that kind of really offended me.
Mhm.
The north part of Yonkers is very Roman Catholic. And I know from growing up there and just with everybody that the type of stuff that was being said was going on would not have gone on in my city. And I know through the generations of families that I know that this type of stuff just wouldn't have been tolerated. And again, there's no arrests of these people. There's no anybody knowing any of them or knowing anybody that knew any of them. No one. I mean, and I can go through lineages of families, Yonkers, to validate all this stuff, which I did. Again, I had to leave a lot out of the book. It was just too much. So the amount of people I spoke to is incredible, and it really is. I mean, it's not all there. I couldn't fit it all in. So there's just even a lot of people that I actually talked to, investigated, that had a lot of cool stuff that I had to leave out. But
So
yeah, that was
basically, your journey, Neo, to let the audience know, when you first saw this documentary, you were under the impression that David had helped, didn't you? This
yes.
documentary made you think this
This
guy had helped.
documentary was
Yeah.
so good that yes, I was on the Maury's train from it, and I let his reports and his leads lead me to everything in front of me. Without the stuff that he left, I wouldn't have been able to probably find all the stuff that I came about, and nothing would have came about if he didn't leave it.
So you were gradually finding things amongst your journey, throughout your journey, that made you start changing your mind slowly.
Right, right.
And
Specifically,
thinking,
the police. Also in the beginning of this, a lot of the stuff being talked about was the police were crooked, that they were leaving stuff out. They had closed the case and nobody seen anything, so they were giving the public and people reason to doubt them. And once I was able to obtain a lot of the police information and talk to a lot of the police, see, Maury went about this wrong and didn't work with the police or try to work with them to the point where they didn't want to show him or deal with him at all. I formed an alliance with active police officers and former retired police officers that was never there before. They were totally into what I was doing and helped out. And that was something that I think was bothering me too when I realized it. These cops weren't dirty. None of them were. They tried to do their job against an extremely dangerous person. And I can speak for every one of them that were involved in this. And there was nothing crooked about any of them. NYPD did their job. Yonkers did also. I show it in my book, all the reasons and evidence to what went on.
would you say there was one specific thing that was like ding, or was it a lot of things that made you
Well, the
start
turning
changing
point,
your mind?
yeah, sorry, it's cutting you there, but the turning point, yeah, you're right. The turning point of this was when I received reports from the chief of police of Yonkers, Joe Monaco. We had been talking prior a couple months, and he was interested in all this stuff. And what happened was, from me going around talking to other retired Yonkers cops and everything, somebody was interested and had reports and gave them in to Joe. So when I happened to go see Joe, he had handed me reports of Sirlac and Sarasi, all the Yonkers stuff that went on. And when I had seen what Wheat and Sam were doing, especially how they were contacting Yonkers police, they were contacting Jimmy Breslin, they were contacting Brooklyn, they were contacting the task force. All these things that the cars were doing. Yeah, it started. That's when I started to really look at everybody involved the right way.
Yeah. Well, I've said many times. I mean, I was on that train as well, that cult train, for many, many months. And then I
Right. And
started listening
yeah,
to killer tapes, and then you gave me the reports.
so many people to this day. I mean, everybody wants to call Maury a kook. That's not it. It's not it. Some of the stuff he was finding in the beginning of the 70s, remember, he didn't have the resources we have now. It was really strong stuff. Unexplained deaths, Berkowitz playing along with accomplices, just simple things he was seeing as far as the sketches and the wind. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that made Maury think this way. Okay, so his intent was, I think in the beginning, he felt it was accomplices and really was trying to look at this. But then again, down the line is a different story. A little complicated with what I feel happened. But again, I don't think we should be knocking someone who's passed away. I prefer not to speak for him because of that, but I have my opinions on it.
Yes. And you're
Right, but I
allowed
think
that.
his intent was there, and still to this day, even after the work I've done. I mean, I was hanging out with Detective Sarasi a little bit ago, and he always thought that Berkowitz was alone for the crimes, but he still thinks a little bit. There's a slight chance that John Carr
Hmm.
knew David Berkowitz, and this is a detective that was there for the arrest and involved in this case like that.
Hmm.
And just to show you that, the evidence really or the stuff that Maury was showing you wasn't kooky until you really see the whole picture. And a lot of people did believe it. There was a lot of cops here who believed the accomplices. You got Sergeant Novotny giving a report to a newspaper saying he thought there was a handful of people involved. So it necessarily didn't have to be the 22 disciples of hell that Maury was saying that were accomplice alone with him was always kind of there too.
Well, I mean, Neo, when people read your book, they will be shocked. I mean, for me, for one, I'd never really looked into David Berkowitz before. I just thought he was this chubby postal worker that got commands through a barking dog, And then I watched the Netflix documentary, Josh Siemens, Sons of Sam, and I was instantly gripped. I was like, this is not the story. The story we've been told all this time is not the right story. It caught me. It got me by the short and curlies. I was like, there's more to the story than this.
All right, very good
And then,
documentary. I can't say it enough.
And then I slowly started, listening to killer tapes, and each episode I was like, well, next episode I'll talk about accomplices. No. Episode 5, still no talk of accomplices. Episode 21, still no talk of accomplices. And then you gave me the reports and the apartment letters, and I can honestly say those apartment letters are what sealed the deal for me. And I think you coming up with them is probably one of the single most important things to ever come out of this case in the last 4 years.
Well, after the Sarasi reports, I was given reports from a fireman whose friends' parents were left a lot of stuff that was missing from a detective that passed away. So as soon as I got them, I brought them right into the Yonkers detectives. And sure enough, there were a lot of stuff that was not there. A lot of the active police had not seen a lot of the stuff. And there was about 17 letters there from his apartment. Never mind detective accounts and reports. And there was a lot of pictures. There was a lot of stuff that answered a lot of questions. But yeah, when I got those letters, that at first when I got the Yonkers reports, Sarasi Surlac, you see everything that went on in Yonkers and the cars and stuff. But then when you got these letters, you were able then to use these letters and figure out everything. And again, the Klausner book, I mentioned this in the past, the Klausner book is a very important piece, left behind, because without Klausner's book, we don't have Berkowitz's accounts of the demon stories, that whole fake stuff. We wouldn't have that. But being that Klausner did that, and you have those accounts with that book, it lines out everything that Berkowitz is saying about his satanic cult. So when you get the letters, okay, you can read the letters and have an understanding to what the letters mean because of what he was saying in the Klausner book.
Yes.
Without the Klausner book, you may not be able to answer a lot of these questions. But like I said, it was a very important book to leave behind.
And I think what David was doing with Maury was using word salads. So in David's mind, there was a cult. So he wasn't lying. There was a cult in David's mind, but it was a fictitious cult. And he was relaying that information to Maury. And Maury was like putting other pieces together, thinking it was a real cult.
Like we have in this modern day. People like to take certain things and use them, to manipulate for their narrative. Okay, now if you look at these letters, some of them Maury did see. But what he's showing you out of the letters is what he wants you to show you. So that you have question and you may side with his narrative. He's not going to show you the full stuff because within the full stuff, it explains the statements that he's putting out in a different way that would not side you into his narrative. Again, like a lot of people today, pick and choose what they want to use because they want to manipulate you to form their narrative that they want to put out.
Absolutely. What they accuse Maury of doing, they're doing exactly the same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
It's like learned behavior, isn't it?
Right. When I started this and I came across it and then realized what I was dealing with, it was, I wanted to stop it. I said, this is it. This is my city. It's my cops. These are my people. I'm stopping this, and I got to get the truth out here. What happened? And still to this day, there's just a lot of lies still just added to this for no reason. And it's just the same nonsense going on. So again, all you need to do is read my book because it's all, it's all true. everything in there, and the facts are in there. With Berkowitz, this is a ton of stuff that a lot of people didn't see or know that happened to him that will explain what happened. And that was the point. I wanted to put the untold truth out there, and I feel I did.
Well, I feel you did, and I was equally impressed with how many people you ran into during your investigation, like Pastor Wallace, for instance. Pastor Wallace. I
Great guy.
mean,
Great guy.
great guy. I
Great guy.
mean, remind everyone who Pastor Wallace is.
Oh, Pastor Wallace was a pastor that baptized David Berkowitz in 1973. Berkowitz was stationed in, I think it was Kentucky at the time,
Yep.
and he decided to go to a Baptist church. So at this Baptist church, he becomes friends with Pastor Wallace. Pastor Wallace is 92 now, and I managed to find him in Tennessee, and I had a nice conversation with him that I put in a book, and he was crucial to run into. He definitely gave a big part of this investigation to help you see things clear. Great
Yep.
guy, still saving people to this day, spreading God's truth, sharp as a sword. Guy was great. Really important in everything, in a lot of things I did. He was another turning point. If you get to the book, when I start to run into him, it was right before the Sarasi stuff. Things started changing. The way I looked, and you should be looking at Berkowitz at this point, with the information I was getting from Pastor Wallace, was a lot different than what we were being told all these years.
Yep. You were slowly changing the narrative also from the beginning when David, I did all the crimes, to when he meets Maury and the story changes. Slowly you start doing the investigation, and you single-handedly have changed a lot of people's minds, dude, who were once believers in the occult side of things.
Right.
Me, for instance, it took a minute, but you did it. And now I'm like looking back thinking, how did I ever believe this?
Again, I don't fault anyone, and I don't want you to feel that way. I would just want you to read the book and understand that everything I'm showing you, nobody has seen. So in order for people's mind to change or think differently, you have to see the information, correct? Well, the information was never put out. And that's what I brought. And that's what you see, and that's what should change your mind. And then it led in to a lot of other information that confirmed what I had come across. So just pay attention to the information. And don't fault yourself. But how could you see what wasn't there?
Yeah. That book had a very big impact on me. The documentary had a big impact on me. And it's very easy to fall into that trap. Because it's like I don't know, I can't explain it, but it's just mysterious, not knowing what, who these characters are, and did they play a part, did they not? But I'm telling you, Neo, I've got you to thank for changing my mind, because if it wasn't for you and killer tapes and all the rest, I would still be stuck in that mindset. And I know it's not a big deal to some people, but you can stay stuck in that mindset for a long time.
Well, history should just be right. That's it. Doesn't matter who brings it or how it's told. It should just be right. And that's a big part of why I left this book, because the history should be right. And I haven't had anyone try and contest my book in a year. All I get back is that it's bulletproof, and you're not going to counter anything in there. I would love for you to, because then I'll throw about 100 pages of evidence to back up everything in there.
How has your mind changed from Maury, from the start of the investigation to where you are now?
Well, in
Your
the
opinion
beginning, I'm looking at this guy as the only person who cared to look past, the blockade of the police not wanting anyone to look at it. So I respected him for the work that he left, and I respected he without him, I wouldn't have been able to start the crumb trail. But as it went on, I started to change a little bit with him, because I started to find a lot of false things that he left behind. And then again, near the end, a lot of people have to understand that this became a hustle. This was his income. He put 25 years of work in it. I refer to it a lot like, Hulk Hogan, in a sense where, Hulk Hogan had a 40, 50-year career still going, because he needed to change, he needed to give the people what they wanted, being a good guy, being a bad guy. So I feel like Maury's intent was there, but near the end, I think he started to get more information and everything else and realized, and not that many people can turn back 25 years of their work. It's not something easy to do. You don't want to do it. So I
Yeah.
think near the end there, he just tried to stay alive. And again, it's like being in a black hole, a ditch, no food, nothing, and you got to survive. You got to claw your way out of there. So I don't want to stress an opinion on him as far as the end of it, but no, I didn't see him the same way. But I understand the game, a sense. Again, I'm not behind what he did, but I would like people to try and put themselves in his place. And
Well, I can see why Maury spent a great part of his life looking into this case because I'm just saying from my own experience, this case does grip you, whether you like it or not.
right,
And it's quite hard to get away from it
right,
because I'm still learning stuff to this day, and and that kind of spurs me on to keep wanting to learn more about it.
right. And there's so much stuff I see, and because I know the case so well, there's so much stuff I see that may be little to somebody else, but it's big to me, even still. So you're right. I am still catching some stuff here and there that fill in gaps.
What made you want to put it into book form, Neo?
Well, when this was done, unfortunately, I had a fraud researcher going around stealing my work. So I didn't like that. And I said, I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to write this book and put down the truth so that it could be down the way everything happened and the truth. And
Set
yeah,
in stone,
yes, set in stone. Because
and nothing
I
was
don't
going
like
to stop.
liars. That's the whole reason this was going on. So again, fighting liars, I guess, has become my full time job. But
Well, I think you did a grand job in doing that, Neo. And speaking of lying, I mean, it's still carrying on to this day, isn't it?
yeah,
With
unfortunately, it is. Yeah,
with Mrs. Brenda Wendy Savino.
right.
It's been a while since we talked about that. I mean, have your opinions changed on it at all
No,
in the last
it
six
is
months?
completely false. It was done by this fraud researcher to inject himself into a narrative. There's been so many lies by this fraud researcher that in order to believe anything he says, you got to fact check. Right? You can't just believe it and just think. Anything he says, you got to fact check. It's been so many lies, and this lie was done to counter my book. Okay, this fraud researcher knew that my book was coming out. So this was just one of his ways to try and manipulate Son of Sam and rewrite it for himself, which is ridiculous. I dare anyone to try and even contest me with that Wendy case in any shape or form. You're going to lose. It is definitely not a David Berkowitz attack. He has said it himself. And the people I've talked to that talk to him are good friends with him. Okay. The lying is done at this point with that relationship. Okay. David Berkowitz did not shoot Wendy Savino, and he clearly told the detectives that, and they ignored him. And I don't know why they did this to him. Two wrongs don't make a right. I don't care anybody out there who thinks, oh, well, he's lying, he's deserving it. You tell me that makes things right. You're just feeding into this disgusting game that's been going on with this case forever. Okay.
Well, it's like we discussed the other day. If you weigh up if you have one side, there's David's crimes, and then you got Wendy's case next to it, nothing lines up, does it?
Absolutely nothing lines up from that case.
No.
Nothing. Nothing. There is no MO from David Berkowitz that lines up with that case. You have a woman, a car, and in the Bronx. That is it. The surrounding circumstances with that case are so ridiculously, it's not even funny, pointing to other people involved, that it's not even worth looking. As long as when you look at this case and you understand that David Berkowitz did not shoot Wendy Savino, there's no use in even diving down that. And I've said it before, if I wanted to get in my car and drive down to the Bronx, okay, you don't believe me, go read my book. I will go down there and I can take care of this whole thing probably in a week. I don't want to do that. You want to know why? Because I know for a fact, okay, it was not David Berkowitz that shot her. And I'm not going down to the Bronx right now and going to meddle in somebody else's business and having things arise because I went down there and started asking questions. I'll let somebody else do that. I don't need to do that. I'm done trying to prove things for other people. I'm positive that David Berkowitz did not shoot that lady.
And we got the man himself, when he was arrested, confessing to crimes not even linked to him. Why wouldn't he confess to Wendy's shooting?
Correct. Look at this case. You want to talk about people lying? Okay. Come to me if you can find David Berkowitz lying to real law enforcement. Okay. Every time he's interrogated by real law enforcement detectives on paper or anywhere, you're not catching him lying. Okay. He's not lying. So why would he lie to these law enforcements now? And why would he lie to the law enforcements when he first got arrested, when he was even telling the police, hey, I stabbed a few girls too. They didn't ask him. He wasn't being tagged to those crimes. He told them, listen, I did do the shootings, gave them intricate details of every shooting that he did, all the attacks, and then even added some of the crimes that he did to the police, which was the stabbings. Why would he mention to the police during that interrogation the girls that he had stabbed when they had no idea? Okay, and the police took what he said, went to the girl. She didn't even want to identify him. She says, I don't know. So that's why you don't see it really in the Son of Sam timeline. Because the girl didn't want to get involved with any of this and said, it could have been, I don't want to identify him. So they just dropped it. But he admitted he did it. And when they went and talked to the girl, it happened. So why would he admit to that and not admit to that shooting? It doesn't make any sense. And then again, I have looked at David Berkowitz from every single angle, even from under the floor. Nothing adds up. He did not have a 32. Could not get a 32, which is why he used his only contact in Texas to get a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I remember a few months ago they were trying to say that Berkowitz could have bought the gun off the corner of the street when he was a taxi driver. Hang on a minute, mate. David wasn't even a taxi driver till what, July 76?
Till he came back with the 44.
When he came back with the 44 when he
Yes,
was shot.
he had the 44 and said, hey, I got all the guns taxi driver got my 44 now. All I need is the taxi. Got the taxi.
I mean, the theories we've heard presented in the last year or so, I mean, can I just take a moment to just say peekaboo? Peekaboo?
Again, just so many lies. You would think when I came into this, and there was a lot of lies put at me from this fraud researcher. You would think, after I showed everybody truth, it would stop. But I guess not. We're just going to keep continuing to try and change the Son of Sam story so that somehow a fraud researcher could be involved in it.
Yes, and now we're getting the Dart Man involved. We're getting the Bronx Sniper.
Okay, a little hint on the Dart Man in case anyone's interested in that. Go talk to Detective Cold Case John Geis if you want to know about that. Okay, fraud researcher or whoever wants to know about the Dart Man, because Yonkers basically cracked that. So if you want to try and put that on David Berkowitz, go ahead. Keep digging, keep trying, but the Dart Man's not going to work for you, okay? Because they definitely handled that situation.
Yeah, I think he's definitely at this point trying to change the whole timeline of the Son of Sam crimes, right back until David was in diapers, dude. I mean, he's trying to take it way, 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 way back.
If I can catch you lying and manipulating things that you're lying and manipulating about, why are you doing it?
How can he be a Son of Sam expert and still think that David did this crime to Wendy when there's absolutely nothing? Even if you take Wendy in the car, David always went for two people in a car, never a lone person in a car. David didn't have a 32. David didn't have 32 bullets. David didn't have a leather jacket. David was never witnessed smiling by any of his victims' witnesses. I mean, the list is just endless.
Endless, and you're forgetting about there was a statement where witnesses seen the gunman leave the scene with two men. Again, we're going to talk about how some people just want to use whatever they want, okay, to manipulate the narrative to fit what they want out there. So what the fraud researcher does is goes and says that the newspaper editor is a fraud and we shouldn't be listening to him because there's no reason behind that. There's no reason to call the editor a fraud. Okay, there are reports, okay, that the police don't get, that journalists get when they speak to witnesses, especially in the Bronx area at that time. Witnesses don't want to be attached to their statements, but would like to help. So for him to put that statement in the paper, it happened. He's not going to make up that witnesses seen the gunman leave in a car with two men. That's, why? Give me a reason why the editor would do that. He's
Yeah.
not trying to help the police with a narrative. Why? That makes no sense.
Yeah. What would be his motivation to do
Right.
that?
Right. And if you notice all the reports that were shown with that, nobody wanted to talk. Okay? So meaning nobody wants to get involved in this. And if there's a statement by a witness that a journalist gets that the police don't have, don't be surprised. That happens all the time. Go talk to detectives. What are they supposed to do? When they say the journalist, where'd you get that? He goes, I don't know. The witness didn't want to be named and he left. What then? Okay, he's supposed to scrap the statement? No, and for someone to say they seen it wasn't they seen a man fleeing the scene. They seen the gunman. Okay, it was a statement direct.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A gunman with the fleeing in the car with two other guys, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a statement you make up. Why?
And
But yet, when we're in this world of Son of Sam, you want to manipulate narratives. So you, again, just like Maury would do with the letters or whatever he wanted, he's going to show you and give you what you want and what sides with his narrative. Okay. And he's going to hold out and discredit the stuff that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Isn't it similar? Yeah. That's the Son of Sam case.
Yeah, when in the very next video, he'll be using newspaper reports from the same newspaper.
Right.
Yeah, that's credible. Right. That's totally fine, It's different journalists, different newspaper article. That's totally fine. More selective editing. And may I say, there's absolutely... I would love nothing more than the Wendy to get this case solved once and for all. And I would love for some new victims, actual victims to be found.
That's what's going to happen, okay? Now, this fraud researcher is stuck, okay? Because I know for a fact that Berkowitz didn't do this. So you know what that means? Somebody did it, right? So go ahead. Put it out there. Let more people see. And hopefully there's somebody out there that knows what happened. Because somebody does. Okay? See, you keep going and digging a deeper hole. Sooner or later...
Counterproductive.
Sooner or later you can't get out. You dug too deep, So, again, I'm waiting because... Listen, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I know what I know. And there's real researchers out there. There's really, people that are not going to like this. People don't like lying and manipulating, especially when you're dealing with victims and cases like this. So let it out. Like I said, somebody did this. Somebody out there knows what happened to Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay? I can guarantee you that. And please.
We just need that one person to come forward,
keep putting it out. I try to tell people who want to display this, in their work about platforming this fraud researcher. Hey, man, you just ruining your own work. My work is done. Okay, food chain is set. Ain't no one getting in front of me. I can tell you that. Who's ever in front of me already, that's who I keep there. But no one's getting in front of me, so. You can keep putting out work that has nothing to do with Son of Sam, and you will regret it.
I think the majority of people would agree with us, whatever side of this case you're on, that,
Like I said, come test me. I'll gladly debate anybody in the entire world on this case.
The difference between how we can look at this angle with Wendy is we believe David did all 6 attacks. So we can compare Wendy's attack to those 6 attacks. Whereas the people that believe he had help...
Too much information.
Got two attacks to compare Wendy's to. Okay?
There's too much information out there, and there's too many statements of him talking to doctors, talking to police, that there's no way, absolutely, even the Jack Jones tapes, that he would slip with this or forget it, or just what would make him hide it? Tell me.
Yeah, great point.
What would make him hide it? He's already in. He's admitting to everything. What would make him hide it? And the fact that, again, you mentioned the 32. There's no bullets found anywhere. There's no case, holster, anything to just be lying around. There's no... When you can't put the weapon used at an attack, when you can't put that weapon on him or have DNA or fingerprints, that's it. There's no... I'm sorry. Close it. You can't do what you did, because even if they didn't have DNA testing back then or whatever you want to fight with me about, listen, again, it comes down to evidence. You can't put a 32 gun in somebody that absolutely didn't have it.
Can I just make the point? If David had access to a 32, why would he need his buddy Billy Dan Parker to go and buy him the 44 in Texas?
Yeah, a month
You
later.
know,
And you're right. You said this to me one time a while ago. If he had the 32, why would then he need to go see Dan Parker to get the 44? Because all that is now is adding in someone that knows he has that gun.
yes,
So
more
that doesn't
suspicion.
right. You made sense to me
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago about it makes sense.
yeah,
Why he needed Dan Parker to get that gun, which was
yeah,
the only reason he involved him in that process.
yeah,
Right, he could not get a gun without going to Texas and seeing Dan Parker.
yeah,
Okay, he had a shotgun. Okay, which he had bought December of 75, I think it was, or November, or whenever that
yep,
was.
yep,
Okay, he had a 22. I think he
yep,
bought when he was at the
76,
Caceres,
yep,
right?
yep,
And what was the semi? He had a
yep,
semi, the 45?
yep.
I
So
forget
he
when he
had
put
three shotguns.
he had three guns and the 44, which were all found on him.
Yeah.
Right.
And I hear the reason, maybe his father gave him the 32 and he felt guilty using it on Wendy's attack. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, his dad didn't own guns. His dad didn't even like fishing because he didn't like to hurt the fish.
Yeah.
David's dad, Nathan, did not have guns. David says in killer tapes, I was
Reaching.
never around guns.
Reaching for whatever
It's
will
reaching for anything.
manipulate the narrative.
There's absolutely nothing pointing to David. You got the man himself who gave a confession 2 years ago.
Right.
Why?
And you got the fraud researcher backing up that, saying, "Hey, you guys don't want to listen to him. He's admitting that he shot Carl, and you guys are still ignoring him. But then when he admits he didn't do this,
Yes.
then Berkowitz is a liar. So he tells the truth to Carl, but then he doesn't tell the truth when it doesn't fit your narrative.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
So
crazy.
you believe him then, but you don't believe him when he says he didn't shoot Wendy.
Right.
That kind of does not make any sense. You
Right.
can't believe one thing and not the other.
And if you notice two sides playing this, isn't it funny how each of them take what they want?
Yes.
Right? Each of them take what they want, opposite sides to manipulate their argument. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Funny that. At the end of the day, Neo, I think, like I said a minute ago, I think whatever side of this case you're on, I think 95% of people don't believe David Berkowitz shot Brenda Wendy Savino on April 9th, 1976, outside Nina's restaurant. He's got to take some responsibility for putting things into Wendy's mind.
Ha.
I've got a couple of points here. Okay, the Cassara dates, for instance. We know David left the Cassaras on the 4th of April, 1976. And he's out there with the narrative that he left on the 8th and then went and shot Wendy on the 9th.
Right.
When
Well,
we know for a fact, because we uncovered these dates,
Right.
me and you, last year, David left the Cassaras on the 4th of April.
Right.
Went
4th
back-
of April. That's the day of the when he was heated. Okay. He left there, and Nan is saying in a tape that she had seen him come back briefly with somebody to get some of the stuff he left behind. In and out. Didn't even say anything to him. Okay. Now, I actually went and visited Stephen Cassara the other day, and I talked to him a little bit about this, and he said the last time that he had seen him was when he got into an argument with him in the driveway.
Yep.
So it's even again. Nan saying he came in and came out. There was no, how do you know? Okay, maybe he was angry. I don't know, but how does this fraud researcher know? There's nowhere it says that when he went there on the 8th to get his things that he was mad.
Nope.
Nowhere does it say that. The only one who's seen him was Nan. She says he came in, got his things, and left. So where do you get that from?
And the fact, Neo,
Stephen didn't even see him.
The fact check Stephen Cassara. He could have gone and visited him like you did.
Whatever.
Klein
There's a lot of things that he could have did that he didn't do that he claims.
But according to this fraud researcher, David had a blowout on the 4th, and he contained his rage for 5 full days before he goes and shoots Wendy.
Right. But according to him, he was mad on the 8th. Tell me where you see that.
You don't see
Tell
that.
me where you see David Berkowitz mad on the 8th, that he held his anger for a whole day and then decided to try and kill someone. Tell me that.
You have
Again,
Nan Cassara saying
manipulated to fit his narrative.
You have Nan Cassara saying that he came back on the 8th with someone helping him move. She doesn't mention David being irate. She just said he turned up with a car, with a van, with someone helping him move. And then that was the last time she saw him.
Correct.
And may I also say he's trying to use the old lady in Yonkers being shot with a 45 and trying to say it's Wendy.
Right.
I mean,
Ridiculous.
how can those two be the same?
I have two incidents that would fit that old lady in Yonkers way better than Wendy. It doesn't even fit. Again, this statement was made to a detective. A detective wrote this down in a detective pad that he told the detective he used the 45 to shoot an elderly woman in Yonkers, but he didn't kill her. Okay? I'm telling you, he's never lied to law enforcement. So that happened. And he's not going to have a shooting in the Bronx. And I guess she's elderly. She's not. Okay? So I don't know how you match that. Again, you just want to do things and try and make them fit your narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also have a shooting that went on around his neighborhood that I think I can maybe link to him. But again, I'm not going to assume. I'm done. I'm not speculating nothing. It's irrelevant. But Berkowitz did tell detectives after he was arrested that he shot an elderly lady in Yonkers using his 45 but didn't kill her. That's what he did.
Crawled away.
That has nothing to do with Wendy in the Bronx.
And she crawled away.
Right. And remember, he doesn't lie to law enforcement. If he lies to law enforcement, that's the only lie I've ever seen. So again, I've never caught him lying to law enforcement, and he's telling this to a detective that wrote it in his detective pad. So it happened. And I do have other assumptions of who that lady was and things that happened. But again, I'm not doing that.
No.
No.
We think we know, but it's speculation, isn't it?
I don't need to. For what?
But what I'm saying, Neo, is how can he compare an old lady in Yonkers shot with a 45 to a lady in a car in the Bronx shot with a 32? How can Detective Klein look at these two cases and even think they're remotely similar?
No idea.
Like, it's not a lady in the Bronx with a 45. That would be kind of similar. It's a lady in the Bronx with a 32. There's no mention of that anywhere. So it's just another one of his manipulation schemes to fit his narrative, this false Wendy narrative that nobody is buying. And
Nobody.
you call yourself an expert in the Son of Sam case?
Again, and I'm glad because this will show you who he is. And
Yes.
there's a ton of other lies besides this Wendy that he tried to put through that I stopped.
And where can we find those lies, Neo?
It's not even worth it. Again, all they do is just lie about lying, right? And say whatever they want to say. And yeah.
Well, I think your book will give a lot of answers to any, burning questions people have. If you want to get interested in this case from scratch, would you say you need to read your book first, Neo? What would you say?
I would definitely say watch the Sons of Sam, Descent into Darkness by Joshua Zeman first.
Definitely.
Because that will set you up with the whole background of what I saw and all the characters. So that when you read my book, you're going right into what was coming off of me watching that. So you'll know the characters. Some names I had to change, of course, but you'll figure that out. And yeah, I do recommend watching Josh's documentary before reading my book.
So Josh's documentary first, not the Ultimate Evil after that?
You can read The Ultimate Evil anytime you want. But I think in order to understand my book,
yes,
somewhat. Yeah, if you read The Ultimate Evil, there's no way that's not going to help you out too. If you want to read The Ultimate Evil first and then go to Josh's documentary, and now you got yourself well equipped, then you go into my book and you'll be able to just understand a lot more.
I did it in that sequence. I watched a documentary. I read The Ultimate Evil. Then I read Carposey's book. And then the Killer tapes came out. And like I say, those tapes, hands down, helped change my mind. Because like I said, every week, no mention of accomplices. All I was hearing was David, he had troubles as childhood, adoption.
And if you listen to the tapes right, they will validate the cars also. They will show you that he didn't know John Carr. The tapes do a big job in validating a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've always championed the Killer tapes when, hardly anyone was talking about them.
Right.
Me and you championed them a lot.
And remember, when you look into this guy like I did, he was not lying to Jack Jones. Okay, this Netflix documentary that's coming out that's going to focus on the Jack Jones tapes. Jack Jones and Bill Badgley did a great job.
Fantastic.
Berkowitz, to me, and again, I've looked at this case, I think, more than anybody. Berkowitz, to me, was honest with them, wanted them to come in, wanted to set the story straight. So those tapes, to me, what I hear is a lot of truth. Berkowitz coming clean.
Also, what stood out to me is how in depth he was being with Jack Jones as compared to how he was with Maury Terry. He was very evasive. He was very quick and to the point with Maury, whereas with Jack Jones, he was just letting everything out.
Well, with Jack Jones, what you get is a lot of stuff that'll connect his biological mother to this and his girlfriend Iris to this, and you'll get a lot of stuff that you don't get from a lot of other places that'll help you understand, the whole process he was going through with these people in his life.
Yeah, they're very good because they take you right back to his childhood.
I got a lot of fill-in for 1975 from those tapes.
Yes.
With the research
yeah.
of Maury's and just a lot of stuff that I looked at. 1975 was a really tough year for me to fill in.
Yeah.
After hearing Jack Jones, and of course with a lot of other, Jack Jones helped out a lot in 1975 years.
Well, yeah, we figured out like he was going to college. He was busy trying to look for his biological father, which then turned into him realizing his mother was potentially still alive. And then he hooks up with her, and then he hangs out with her. So 75 filled in, we filled in a lot of gaps in 75, whereas before it was kind of like an empty void, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, everything in those killer tapes, I mean, I'm glad they're finally going to get the recognition they deserve because they never took off. I used to say to you time and time again, why is no one paying attention? Why is nobody?
I wanted to go over them with you, but we didn't get to because the channel got struck. Again,
yes.
There was a lot of stuff in there that you could discuss, yeah.
I highly recommend people going and listen to those killer tapes.
Right, they're on Spotify.
Yeah.
Under killer tapes.
I think there's
Jack
like
Jones,
25.
Right.
But I think hopefully in the new Netflix documentary we might hear some sound bites that we've never heard before. But I think maybe a majority of them were in killer tapes. But maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe we won't. We will see. Right. But I just want everybody to know Neo's book is on Amazon right now. Untold Truth, The Son of Sam, A Journal of a Journey. It'll be a year tomorrow, won't it, Neo?
Yeah. And if you didn't hit that like button, hit it and subscribe because we got a lot more stuff coming through this year. And I definitely want to do a lot of videos going over a lot more stuff that happened.
Yeah, I would say our work here is not done just yet.
Yeah. No. No, obviously not.
Even though you might want it to be, it's not.
No.
I've got you for a little while, Neo.
No.
Right? I'm not letting you go yet. Right? All right?
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, go and get the book. Amazon right now. It's easy to find, easy to buy. Well, you can get it in ebook form, hardback, paperback, any form you want, right?
Correct.
Yep. Go and grab yourself a copy. You won't be disappointed. Neo, always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. It's been a minute.
Thank you.
It's been a minute, but we've done it. And I always appreciate you, dude. And
me too.
We will be back.
Yeah.
Hit that like and subscribe button, please, guys, please. And to rebuild this channel, thank you guys so much.
Be good.
All right. Peace out.